Okay, so today's session is on P2P. P2P is procure to pay. So we have three major flows in Oracle. One is your P2P, the other one is O2C, which is order to cash, and then we have R2R. Okay. Now, procure to pay basically involves procurement, payables, cash management, and eventually everything in GL. Order to cash, order management. Okay. And receivables, cash management, and ultimately we have GL. R2R is reporting side. You will see that. Now today we are going to see about P2P. Now P2P flow start from a requirement or a need. Let's say in a company, there's a requirement to purchase a new laptop, right? So how the things will start? So there will be a requisition. Requisition to create a requisition to get a new laptop. Let's say the user can create that requisition, or the user, or the person who is looking for a new laptop, he can send a mail to the user, the procurement team, and that procurement team can create a requisition on behalf of that user. Okay, so anything can happen depending upon the model. So we will have a requisition. Then we can have approval for that requisition. Look, all steps maybe are not there in each and every company, but this is a typical flow which we are going to discuss. Requisitions, then we have approval for that requisition, and then there could be a purchase order, or in some cases we can go for a quotation. Now what is a quotation? So basically, let's say that we are not aware that through which supplier we can get that laptop. So we have a list of 10 to 12 approved suppliers. Then again, ASL will come into picture, approved supplier list, and we will send a request for quotation, RFQ, request for quotation, RFQ, to the respective suppliers that we are looking for a laptop. So they will revert with prices and other terms and conditions. Okay, so then we will have quotation. Quotation. Now quotation will be coming from the vendor side or supplier side. So the best quotation will be taken into picture, and then there will be a purchase order, PO. Requisition, approval for requisitions, request for quotation, quotation, and then we will have a purchase order. Now this purchase order will be created from our side. Let's say in our company there is a requirement, and this purchase order will be sent to supplier, right? So supplier will send the laptop, so we will receive. That is called receiving. And then we can deliver that laptop to our warehouse as per the requirement. So on the basis of purchase order, supplier will send the laptop plus an invoice. So receiving and delivery in correspondence to the laptop and invoice. For the payment purpose, we will receive an invoice. We will record that invoice in the system. Then we will do the payment. for that invoice, and then we will have clearing. So this is basically clearing means bank reconciliation. Our payment will be cleared in the bank and then transferred to GL. So this is the complete process of P2P. If you see, creation of a requisition, this is happening in procurement. Approval for your requisition. Now here also there could be an approval, purchase order and then approval. Fine. So I'm giving you the comprehensive picture. So there could be a company which will say, ki, I don't require any approval at the requisition level. The other company can say, ki, okay, I require it at the requisition level, but no approval at the purchase order level. So there could be lots of scenarios. This is again happening in procurement module, quotation in procurement module, purchase order in procurement module, receiving, delivery. So here, again, there is a very strong integration with inventory, because in purchase order, you are inputting item, what type of item you want to purchase. So here laptop, so this is an item which will be coming from your inventory. Okay, so a very strong integration with inventory module. Now this invoicing will happen in account payables, payments in account payables, clearing in cash management, and transfer to GL from procurement, from payable modules and cash management. And then all the accounting entries will be coming in GL. In last session, I told you we have a GL interface, then you run the import program, and then you post all the accounting entries. Right? Import, and then it will be posted. So this is a complete flow. Now, what about accounting entries? Requisition. Here, there is no accounting entry. This is the approval part. No accounting entry, no accounting entry. Now, when we create a requisition, just for the information, we need a supplier or vendor, which is again a very important part of configuration. So here also we need a supplier, obviously. No accounting entry, no accounting entry, no accounting entry, no accounting entry. The first accounting entry, the real one, will happen at the receiving, which will be receiving account debit to AP accrual account credit. Okay. Now, at the time of delivery, what will happen? Now, if it is an expense item, then it is not going to hit our warehouse. But let's say if it is an inventory item, then in that case, our material account or inventory account will be hit. Material account debit to receiving account credit. Okay. Fine. Now, at the time of tables, at the time of invoice creation. Now here we are going to book our liability. All right. So here our AP accrual account will be debited and our liability account will be credited. Okay. Now at the time of payment, we will set off our liability account debit and our cash clearing. In case we are using cash management, which generally company uses, we will have a cash clearing account. At the time of clearing, we will have cash clearing account debit to cash account credit. So these are the accounting entries. It's a standard flow. So eventually what is happening? If you see a receiving account set off, AP accrual account set off, liability account is getting set off here, cash clearing account is getting set off. Eventually the accounting entry will be material account debit to cash account credit. This will be the eventual entry. Is it clear, guys? Any question on this? Okay. So this is the complete process for P2P cycle. Now to create all these transactions, first of all, we need to put in place lots of different configurations, right? For example, we need suppliers. Without supplier, how you're going to create, all these transactions? We need some default setups like payment terms. When you are creating your purchase order, so you need to put in this information that in how many days or months you are going to pay for this. So these are all your setups and configurations. We have 2-way, 3-way, 4-way matching that we are going to see. So there are lots of setups we need to do in different modules, and basis that your transactions will flow. Okay. Now let's see all this in the system. So we will go to manage configurations, setup and maintenance part. So here we have payables in functional areas under financials offerings. We'll click on payables. Now, if you see, we have payment terms, procurement agent, common options for payables and procurement, invoice options, payment options. So we will see all these required setups for payables. Let me show you first manage common options for payables and procurement. If you see in this flow, the major two modules are procurement and payables, right? So let's say you're all finance guys. There could be a bill, electricity bill you need to pay. So for that electricity bill, generally you don't have to create a purchase order and all this process you have to put in place. You will straight away create an invoice and you will do the payment, right? So no need of any procurement. I'm just telling you. So there is a lot of integration and a lot of common setups in procurement and payables. But it is not necessary that the same flow will happen for each and every transaction, for each and every purchase. There could be some purchase where your expense item is involved. There could be some purchase where asset item is involved. So there the things will be different. And there could be some expenses like electricity expense, wherein there is no need to create any purchase order on receiving and delivery. Straight away, you can create an invoice. Now, in manage common options for payables and procurement, what will happen? You have to provide all the accounts like liability account. So liability account is a supplier account. So here in manage common options, we will provide this account. Now try to understand, this account can be override when we are going to create our supplier. But let's say there's a company which is saying that the requirement is they have 4 different type of suppliers. So they are looking for 4 different type of liability accounts. Out of that, 90% the liability account is going to be this. So this account you are going to provide in manage common options. Now, every time you create a supplier and supplier side, this liability account combination will come. So 90% you don't have to change it, but only 10% you have to override it. You have to replace it with the appropriate liability account. Right? So the flow is, I will just provide here. So common options for payables and procurement. Now this is one setup. Okay, so here we are providing a liability account. Now try to understand what I'm saying. Then we have supplier. Then we have supplier side. Okay, and then we have invoice. Let's say here we have provided liability account A. So if we want, this will come over here. So here we can replace it. We can say B. And at this time of invoice also, if you want, now this will come. The defaulting will be from here to here. Now this will, let's say if there's a requirement to change it, we will change it. And then on the invoice, the defaulting will be from the supplier side. So here, if we want, we can change it. It's a different process. How to change it, that is through Excel and all. But the defaulting process is like this. So let's say if there's a company and they're looking only and only for one liability account. So every time this will be defaulted. This will not happen straight. So once you provide this account here, that's it. You don't have to provide it again and again. So that is a part of setup. The things we can default. So this is a mandatory setup. If you see, there's a star over here, which means this is a mandatory part setup. So we have provided a liability account. Same ways, this is a prepayment. When you pay your supplier in advance, that is called prepayment. So this 13500, this could be your supplier advance account. So we have bills payable, conversion rate, variance, gain and loss account, discount taken, miscellaneous freight. So we will see in which all scenarios all these accounts are getting used. But the most important is liability and prepayment. Okay. If we see both these account, they will be automatically defaulted. These 2 accounts will also be defaulted. Material account will be defaulted. Okay, now here, either our AP accrual account will come or some expense account will come. That we have to provide manually in case it's a direct invoice. then only we have to provide it manually. Other than that, if you see, all these accounts will be defaulted automatically. Automatically account will come, automatically accounting entry will happen. The source of these accounts are different setups. For example, liability account is coming from, I showed you, from here. And how the defaulting will happen, we have seen that. Same ways, receiving account. The source for receiving account is receiving options. We will see that. So from receiving a setup, the receiving account will come. I mean, just for the reference. Now,
so Rahul, one question. Sorry to interrupt.
This is Manesh, buddy. That tell me.
Yeah, sorry, Manish.
Yeah.
Manish, like as you mentioned, liability account will be defaulted, right? So also, as you said, in supplier site level, also we can give some liability account, right? If both places have different accounts, if example,
no, hold on, buddy. What I mentioned, that the same account will come over here. If we want, we can replace it.
so example, if we are taking different accounts, which will be override and which will be defaulted?
No.
If
No,
in one case,
I will just let me elaborate. Let's say this is the account. Okay.
So just maybe if I have understood correctly, so Merchant, it will be like if you have given a different account at the site level, then the precedence will be on the supplied side.
okay.
So in that way, that
So we can, yeah, we can put it empty also, right? In supplier level.
correct. You can give it empty as well.
Okay. Thank you, Manish. Thank you.
Yes. So this 0 has the lowest precedence level. Then you have this, and then you have this. Okay. So if there is a requirement, okay, I will give you a scenario. Let's say we have 4 types of suppliers: local supplier, export supplier, and then we have a miscellaneous supplier. Okay. So here we are using 22100. Here we are using 300. Here we are using. Okay. Now what you will do? This is used. Your 90% suppliers, they are local suppliers. 5% are your export suppliers, and 5% are your miscellaneous suppliers. And let's say there are 25,000 suppliers. So what you will do here in common options, you will use 22100, 22100, like this. Okay. Now every time you create your supplier and site, it will be defaulted. And let's say in 5% cases, you will replace this by this. 22200. Okay. Let's say it's an export supplier. So you will replace 22100 with 22200. And in case of miscellaneous supplier also, the same you will do. You will replace 22100 with 2300. We will see that when we are going to create this supplier, and then it will be defaulting on your invoice. So that is the process. I mean, generally, this is the approach which we take while we are doing the implementation. Okay. Now, this is your automatic offset. So automatic offset also we will see when we are going to create the invoice. So in case we have more than one balancing segments, then this automatic offset will come into picture. Okay. So as we know that balancing segments should always be in balance. So this automatic offset will take care of that. So let's say in our expense account, our company is, let's say, code is 100. So in liability account should also the 100 should come. So if it is not the case, then through automatic offset, the system will take care of this thing. So it can happen at 2 levels: primary balancing segment or all segments except natural account. So we will see the application. Rahul, anything from your side on the automatic offset?
Yeah, that's what correct. So as Manish mentioned, both the account debit and credit should have the balancing segment should be same, right? So to make the balance entries. So in that case, if you choose primary balancing segment, then in that case, whatever expense account balancing segment you have given, the liability account automatically offset for that company code. Okay.
Right.
And if you choose the other option, then all the segments will change except the natural account which are there. So that application we will see, but at the high level, you understand that debit and credit should be balanced. The company code should be same for both the entries, both the debit and credit.
Right. Right.
Can we have an example? One is it kind of intercompany, we can say?
So to avoid intercompany only, we will use this. Otherwise, if you choose none and you given an expense account of 1001 company code and liability account has 1002, then it will create intercompany, right?
Right.
To avoid any intercompany entry, you have to offset to the right company code. The system should offset that, correct? Actually, this setup is to avoid intercompany, not to create intercompany.
Look, if in the debit and credit side, our balancing segment is different, then automatically another leg will be created. Right. So that is because of intercompany, like Rahul mentioned. If you want to avoid that, then you will have this automatic offset. Anyways, let's first of all clear the basics, and then at the time of application, we will see this automatic offset. We can elaborate on this. Okay. This is for one-time payment. So this feature was not in EBS. Now we have this one-time supplier and one-time payment, wherein you will provide this liability and expense account if our transaction is of one-time payment. Currency conversion. Okay. There are two type of conversion rates: corporate and user. I mean, just for the information.
And
Spot rate and
uh,
corporate. Yeah.
what is one-time payment, Manish? I didn't understand.
One-time payment is, let's say, you want to do a payment only for one time for that particular supplier.
So it's basically if you want to make a payment where the supplier is not defined, then you any third party which is not booked as a supplier, then also you can create a temporary entity, and using these liability accounts and expense accounts, you can book the invoice and do the payment, or you directly can do the payment without booking the invoice. Actually, it's a new feature in Fusion only. So one time only, it's not a actual supplier for you, but there is a ad hoc requirement to make payment to anybody. Correct? How will you do that?
So normally we do invoice only in the same place and same way what we do regularly, or it's a different invoice
It's
because
not. Yeah, it is treated as a one-time payment. Is a category of invoice and all. So there is a field called one-time payment. It's
okay, clear.
Generally, you use this through spreadsheet. In
yeah.
spreadsheet, you have this option actually, one-time payment. Okay, when you're using the FBDIs and all, so that you can use this. But this is a new feature actually, one-time payment. I'm not sure on the form you can do this, but through spreadsheet, I believe this is there. But we'll confirm you this thing. One-time payment. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Manish.
Yeah. So conversion rate, there are two type of conversion rates: corporate and sport. Corporate rate is basically when there is a authentic area from where actually you pick that exchange rate, and spot rate is basically you provide that spot rate. I mean, this is the minor difference. Okay. Realized gain and distribution, realized loss. So just for the understanding, there are two type of gain and loss: unrealized and realized. Then you will automatically understand the concept. Unrealized is which hasn't happened. For example, you created an invoice in foreign currency wherein the rate was 1 USD is equal to, let's say, 80 INR. Okay, you created an invoice on, let's say today is 13th. Today you created an invoice for, let's say, 10,000 USD. Now, at the time of month end, when last day of August will come, if you want to see the exchange rate fluctuation, now this is something very, very important, guys, because in big companies, there are lots of foreign currency transactions. And this could be positive or this could be negative for a company. And it has a huge cash flow impact. Now, this is one transaction. There could be lots and lots of transactions in different currencies. And if it is going to be negative, then it can impact your cash flow and you have to take care. You have to hedge or whatever you want to have as per the policy. So let's say at the time of 13th of August, this was the rate, and 30th of August, the rate was 1 USD is equal to, let's say, 75 INR. So here your liability was how much? This is 10,000, na? 80,000, 8 lakh, right? But now on 30th of August, this is going to be 7,50,000. So your liability is less now. You have to pay 50,000 rupees less. So this is an unrealized gain. You haven't done the payment, but just at the time of month end, you want to see the impact. There's a process called revaluation. We will see that afterwards. On the other hand, if the rate is going to be 85, let's say, then it will have a reverse effect. Then you will have an unrealized loss. Unrealized means you haven't actually materialized that thing. Okay. Now, at the time of payment, let's say on 15th of September, you paid that. And at that time, whatever is the exchange rate, as per that, whatever is the gain and loss, that will be a realized gain and loss. Because that thing has now happened, realized. So we have unrealized gain and loss, and we have realized gain and loss. This is to take the impact of exchange rate difference. I think this is clear. Okay. Realized gain, realized loss distribution. Accrue expense item, period end and at receipt. Again, this is accrual means like AP accrual. We have seen that. Okay, you accrue. Whenever you create, whenever there is an expense, you accrue that expense, even if you are not paying it. So there are two levels. Either you can do it at the period end or at the receipt level. So at the time of month end means there is a process, you will run that and all the accruals will be leveraged. So generally it is at the receipt level. We will see that also in the procurement. Self-billed invoices. Now, what is the self-billed invoices? There are 2-3 different nomenclature for this. Self-billed. Then you have ERS, evaluated receipt settlement. And there is one more name also to this. Now, actually, what happens when you create an invoice here? So this invoice could be on the basis of purchase order and then receiving. So instead of creating this invoice manually, on the you match your invoice with a purchase order receiving, and then system will automatically create your invoice, but you have to do it. So if you use this feature, you can automatically create an invoice. Nothing you have to do. On the basis of receipt number, the system will create an invoice. So that is called self-billing or ERS feature, Evaluated Receipt Settlement. Okay. Look, guys, if
generally, like companies try to use it to avoid their
effort.
Yeah, so the companies basically use it to avoid their efforts, and also to, like, they want to self-bill it, like whatever their purchase order price is there and receiving happened, whatever quantity and all. So they have an agreement with the vendor that we will automatically create the invoice in our system and pay you. So there is already an agreement, whatever purchase order you have sent to us and whatever we have received, based on that there is no need to invoice us, or we will do our self-billing for you.
Yes.
And they may get some discount, or all that agreement will happen with the supplier.
Right. And if the number is huge, in that case also companies consider this, because each and every time to create an invoice take time. So depending upon the requirement volume, so if a business has taken a call to go for this, you can enable this feature, and then from the procurement itself, this self-billing invoices can be created. Okay, so this is manage common options for payables and procurement. Now this is happening at the BU level. Okay, this you have to understand this, that this configurations, this setup is at the BU level for US one business unit. So if you have different business units, for each and every business unit, you have to complete this configuration. Okay, so maybe now liability account is different for each and every business unit. That is the reason, because this setup is different. And there could be different defaulting options for different business unit. So as per the requirement, you can have a set of defaulting options for a different business unit. For the other business unit, you can have different. Manage invoice options. Now let's see manage invoice options.
One doubt, Manish. Like example, now we have configured for manage common options, right? For 101 company. So like example, if we have like multiple companies.
No. This is not for 101 company. This is at the business unit level. This is not mandatory that company and business unit are going to be same.
Oh, so balancing segment can't be same as business unit?
No,
is it same or it's different?
Generally, it is different. Company balancing segment is something different. Business units are generally it is different. For example, I will again give an example. It's a good question. So let's say our company, which is our company code in our chart of accounts, right? And then you have business units. Am I right, buddy? This is what you're thinking?
Yes.
So we can have like, this is one company code. This is another company code. Okay. So this is like generally at the country level or at the LE level. Right. Now, let's say this is for India. Now in India, we can have, let's say 50 offices. Business unit is basically a place, an office where you are creating the transactions. Like, what are the transactions? Invoice,
yes.
procure, purchase, PO, purchase order, receiving, whatever I've shown you, order, sales orders, receipt, sales invoice. These are all my transactions. So these are happening in different offices. Let's say in Noida, you have 10 offices in sector 51, 61, sector 102, sector 108. So you can have different business units for those offices because you want a segregation of data. So business units, just for the sake of understanding, I can say they are the offices or places where transactions are happening. And that is the reason, guys, if you recall, when we were creating our business units, so we were having, what was that, Rahul? Business unit functions. Business unit functions. So we were enabling the business unit functions, if you remember. And those functions were like invoicing, purchase order, inventory related functions and all these. So companies, this is different. Generally, this is different. I hope now you understand, huh?
Not that much clear, because if example we are making one transaction, expense transaction, so BU, okay, in BU we will mention, and the distribution, whatever it is called, like this is one, like 10110, right side you have mentioned, right? That company code also mentioned over there, right?
Okay.
So I don't understand, like, what is the connectivity between these two.
So motion, like generally, if you go, there can be one-to-one mapping business unit of a company code, right? If there is any specific requirement that a particular business unit serves like 5 company codes, or there is a separate liability account required, okay, in that case, either you go with the SLA configuration to derive the company code if there is a complex requirement like that, okay. It's so ideally, these are two independent things: chart of account, company code value, and your business unit. The setup is 1001. Default, you have given 1001 in the liability. But when the accounting will happen, how it is derived. So the standard functionality is that whatever you have given as 1001 in the business unit, it will pick that 1001. If there is no SLA configured or a standard functionality you have done, right? But
Yeah,
there are options. If you want, instead of 1001, you want 1002 or 1003, then in that case, either you create multiple supplier sites, okay, or you
correct.
will configure your SLA. So it's the that's the consulting, right? You have to give, or you have to thought how you want to serve, or you create a separate business unit altogether. If there is a multiple companies and there is a need of a multiple business unit, you definitely have to go with a separate business unit, okay. So
Okay,
that's how you have to think over. It's not that very, so that organizational structure, your chart of account, everything you have to see, and your business process and function, correct.
okay, Rahul. And okay,
So,
maybe we'll practice, right? So I'll understand better. And
look,
also one more question,
this is
continue
not
to that.
so straightforward. That is the reason, lots of years it takes
Yeah.
to get that level.
Yeah.
And that is why chart of accounts and enterprise structure
Yeah.
are very, very important.
One more question. I'm sorry. Like, we have configured for 1001 company, right? That manage common setup. So similarly, if we have multiple
No,
company
don't say
codes,
company. Don't say company, buddy. Again, you are
whatever business
business
unit,
unit. Say
okay.
business unit.
So for that also we have to configure again for the common options, or only once it happened?
If there is a
Only
separate
BU wise,
business,
right?
if it's a BU, if it's a new BU, you have to set up new.
Okay.
Okay. What's your name, buddy? What's your name?
Mohsin, Manish.
Look, Mohsin, all these options, if you see, first of all, try to understand. I mentioned this thing. All these options are happening at the BU level. If you see here,
BU.
okay. So first of all, be clear that all these setups are happening at the BU level. This is clear?
Clear.
Okay. Now another thing is, let's say there is a cost center. In our chart of account, we have a company, we have cost center, then we have accounts, and then we have another segments. I'm just giving you a scenario. Now, these business unit could be our cost centers. This could not be our cost centers. Okay, in case it is our cost center. So what will happen? Let's say for India, we are booking an invoice. Okay, so this is my company code. Then this is for Noida. I have booked this invoice for Noida, which is also my cost center and also my business unit. Then whatever is my account will come. For Delhi, it will come like this. Okay. Now, this is also one of the scenarios where your business unit could be a cost center. Your business unit is not represented by any chart of account. That thing is also happen. That thing is also possible. Okay. So there are multiple scenarios, but
Sorry, Manish. So, and
Yeah.
the thumb rule here is business unit is just to book your purchase order, and accounting entry is totally different thing. How to derive the accounts behind the purchase order creation, or receiving or invoicing, for example, right? That is totally different. How that is derived is something through multiple things. Correct? So company codes and accounting string, what you are trying to derive is totally different. It is dependent on your chart of account and how do you derive, how you define it. And
A very
business
important
unit is
point.
how you are booking your transaction, invoice or purchase order or receiving transaction and all. Correct?
It's a very important point, Rahul, you have mentioned. Don't get confused between your chart of account values and your, all these
Hmm.
transactions. These are different. Those things are different. Which could be sometimes in parallel. You can have something in parallel, but these two are different areas.
These are only defaulted values. When we configure it at the business unit level, it's just for defaulting. It's not that that value only comes. There can be scenarios, there can be possibilities. You can deal, there can be different values can come for those segments, either for company code or cost center, whatever segment you have. Those derivation rules can be derived or change. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
These are only defaulted values. If
Okay.
you have not,
Yes.
yeah.
Please go on, Rahul. Go on.
So these are only for defaulting. Most of the cases for the simple scenarios, it will come. But if you want some different values, that is possible.
Yes.
Under one BU also.
Okay. Thank you, Rahul, Manish.
Okay, Mohsin, you are a finance consultant, I believe, in EBS.
Actually, I learned EBS long ago, and I'm working as an accountant actually.
Okay, you are working as an accountant, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So where are you putting up?
Hyderabad.
Okay, in Hyderabad. Let's say in your company, you have 3 offices. Now, this is the last example, and if you hear it carefully, it will make the things crystal clear. Let's say you have 3 offices, Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Chennai in India. Okay. Now you are a user, you are a power user, and you are saying that I need a trial balance at my BU level. I need a
Okay.
trial balance. Trial balance means basically you need a separate profit and loss and separate balance sheet at your BU level. Okay.
Okay.
Chennai, Hyderabad, and Bangalore. These are 3 simple offices in India. Now, India code is this, and you have 3 offices. Now, as an implementer, what you will do, because the requirement is Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, we have 3 offices where their respective accountants are sitting and they're booking all the invoices and purchase orders and everything. Now, as an implementer, what I will do? Now, I need to have in chart of account something representing my business unit. Then only I can have a trial balance at this level. So in that case, either I will bring cost center for business unit or some other segment. I could have location, let's say. I could have location for Chennai, Hyderabad, and Bangalore. I can have 20 different, or let's say in Chennai, I will say 5001, 502, 503. Okay. Now these are my locations. Now these are the codes. Now I will make this location also my balancing segment. We have an option of creating three segments as our balancing segments: primary balancing segment, secondary, and a third balancing segment. So company is my first balancing segment, and then I can have location also as my second balancing segment. And these are my business units also. Now what will happen? All my accounting entries will be balanced at my location level also, which are my business units also. And at the end, I can take out extracted trial balance also. Look, this is an advanced example I have given you. but this will help you to understand how my balancing segments, how my company segment codes, how my business units, they work in coordination.
So yeah, the only thing is like it's not in B. So like India is your one company code 1001, right? And location also you want your trial balance. Then in that case, your location will also have a secondary balancing, a label. We see in the chart of account, right? The labels, correct?
Yeah. I remember.
So one location segment we also assign it as a cost center or also as a balancing segment, secondary balancing segment. In that case, you can generate your trial balance at India level, company code level, or either through at your location level. So both level you can generate your trial balance, and your transaction still can happen only one BU. For India, you can have only one BU. You really don't need Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore as a separate business unit. That is also possible. So it's again your design and agreement with your company or customer. Do you really need Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore as a different business unit? That's why every time we focus, whenever your enterprise structure and your chart of account structure you are creating, these are the pillars, right? For reporting, for your all this. So it's very important. As a consultant, you continue to do workshops continuously. So majority of time of your implementation go into this design structure, primary structure. Okay. There is no hard and fast rule that these has to be business unit, these has to be a chart of account segment at a company level or a location level or a cost center level. It's free. Oracle has given you a free end, but it's up to you now how you want to design it.
Absolutely.
Conceptually, you understand all this and then give the best solution.
Fine, Rahul, Manish.
Oh, chalo, great. Yeah. That was really good, Rahul. Fine. So now coming on to the invoice options. Again, this will take care at the business unit level, the defaulting and other the routing part, you can say, how the transaction will route and other things. For example, for US1 business unit, for example, terms date basis. Let's take an example. Where we have 4 options: good receive date, invoice receive date, system date. Okay. Now let's take an example, something very interesting. So there is a supplier, ABC supplier. Okay. You have purchased some laptop or whatever from this supplier, and this supplier have sent you an invoice with 30 days. Okay. In 30 days, you have to pay ABC supplier. Now, from which date this 30 days will start? From which date? You have multiple options. So that you have to define here. That for this BU, whenever I'm creating a invoice, if I'm taking this invoice date, then my invoice date, from invoice date, my 30 days will start. Let's say the invoice date is 1st of August, and today you are booking the invoice, and today is, let's say, 13th, and you are putting your invoice date as 1st of August, which means by 30th of August, you have to pay your invoice. If it is good receive date, which means the receiving date. Invoice receive date, so invoice date could be 1st of August, but invoice receive date could be 13th of August. So if you have inputted this, then your payment terms will start from today, not from 1st of August. And if you have put in system date, then accordingly the system date will be taken. So this is a part of your configuration. Now this can make a huge difference, guys, huge difference. If a company is taking invoice receive date, which means the day they have received that invoice. So there could be a difference of 2 weeks or 3 weeks also in invoice receive date and invoice date. So your aging will be impacted hugely because of this terms date basis. So as per the company policy, as per the business requirement, you will set your configurations, your setups. Same way, pay date basis, due date or discount date. If it is due date, it will always look for the due date. If it is discount date, it will take into account the discount date and it will run your payment process. Okay, so these setups are very, very important, and most of them, they are self-explanatory. For example, hold unmatched invoice. If you enable this part, so system will not allow you to pay for the unmatched invoice. I mean, you can't create an invoice which is not matched with your PO or receipt. You can't have a standalone invoice in the system. Okay, so let's say there is a company which will say, okay, in my company, there should not be an invoice without a purchase order or a receipt. So you will enable this.
So basically, just to summarize to some other guys. So there is a integration from procurement to invoicing. There is a matching process, right? Based on your pricing, your quantity and received quantities. So there is a full-fledged control. You have to pay only that much quantity or on that particular price what you agreed in your purchase order or whatever you have received. So the system, when you say matching process, right? Matching process is, this is something we match the invoice related data to the purchase order data to the received data, and then those controls help to give the actual payment, no overpayment or low payment or penalty, or all that stuff is very, very controlled way, right? So you have to visualize these things as a procure to pay cycle or procure to pay system. Right.
The first two options, Manish, require grouping, invoice grouping, and other category. What is this?
Which one?
The first one, left enable button, right? It's not enabled. Invoice grouping.
This
Yeah, this one.
require invoice grouping. I'm not able to recall invoice.
Yeah, I think even I don't remember what exactly this. So maybe we can.
Okay, what we can do, guys, for this now, we will share you a document.
Please, yeah.
So before that, actually, now that is good you asked this. We need your email IDs.
Sure, we'll text here.
You text here all. I believe you all have our WhatsApp number, or we
No,
can.
no, we don't have.
We'll ping you the WhatsApp number. You just send your email IDs, and we can have a Google Drive wherein we can share some documents also you can refer to, wherein all these configuration and setup documents we will share. Okay.
Thank you, Manish. Thank you.
Okay. So you can just have a look. Otherwise, I mean, most of them, they are self-explanatory. I mean, as per the name suggests, the meaning is, okay, pay group, terms date basis, pay date basis, accounting date basis, whatever option you will take, system will go by that. Budget day basis, evaluate duplicate invoice, hold during validation, right? So before I go ahead, Rahul also mentioned one thing. We have two-way matching. This is something very important, three-way matching. And we have four-way matching. So two-way matching is when you have invoice and PO. Well, here we have invoice, PO, and receipt. And here we have invoice, PO, receipt. What is that fourth one, Rahul? Control quality check.
The accepted quantity or accepted quality exceptions. Yeah,
quality acceptance, something like that.
Hmm.
So in two-way matching, simply the invoice, let's say the invoice is for 5,000 rupees and the PO is also not for 5,000. Let's say it is 4,900. So this is not matching. So it will look the tolerance. Okay, if it is 0% tolerance, system will not allow you. So as per the tolerance and as per the matching, the system will validate. This is what trying to tell you. Two-way matching, three-way matching, the invoice amount or invoice value or quantity will be matched with the PO and receipt both. And then the tolerance, if there's a difference, and if it is under the tolerance percentage, system will allow you. And the fourth one is invoice, PO, receipt, and acceptance. And then the tolerance. Okay. So as per the business requirement, let's say if a company is saying we will go 99%, we have seen three-way matching. Okay. So three-way matching, look, there could be business requirement where the company can say we will have four-way matching or two-way matching. And as per the tolerance, which you are going to set, again, as per the business requirement, the transaction will flow. So this is again very important.
So basically, based on this matching,
yes,
when you approve when you validate the invoice, it will put it on hold before doing the payment.
yes,
There is against the tolerance, automatically system will hold those invoices and will not allow to pay for that. First, you have to resolve these conflicts with your procurement department, payables department, and the procurement department will discuss why this variance is coming. Okay. Is it so there is no fraud as such?
Right. Right. Absolutely. And if there is a confliction, then in the validation process, like Rahul mentioned, hold will be there, and you have to release that hold. Then only you can go further. Okay. So this is about that. Allow final matching again. I mean, you can see that doc discount. Some things are a little complex. I mean, we don't want a lot of things going into your head. So first of all the basic part should be clear. And then if something is there, which is important, we can take up during creation of the transaction, like invoice and prepayment and all.
And one more thing, one more thing I just want to give as a tip, like whenever you are looking into these options, right? First go to the header like prepayment. So these options are or invoice entry. So all these options are related to invoice entry screen or invoice entry process, matching discount. So you set that context when you try to work out with these options for what purpose it is. Always try to connect with this. This is for discount, this is for prepayment, this is for approval. Okay. The context setting will happen automatically.
Right. Okay. Now this enable invoice approval. Now look, this small checkbox is so important. If you want to have invoice approval, if this option is not enabled, you can't use that invoice approval feature. So first of all, you have to enable it. And then you have to create rules and everything. Allow force approval, which means the person who is creating that invoice, if that person is having the access of force approval, he can approve that invoice without getting it approved as per the process. Require validation before approval. So these are very, very important because these setups will give the shape or will execute the business requirement. A director or a finance CFO can say, okay, I need invoice approval. Each and every invoice should be approved. Each and every invoice. So you have to enable this. So that business requirement will be taken care by this setup. So once it is enabled, then you will create the rules and everything in BPA. So same ways, create interest invoices and all. So these are all the setups which will take care of the controls, compliances, defaulting, other features. Okay.
Basically, it will streamline your configuration, will streamline your process of invoicing and all,
Right.
and controls, place the controls into the system. So you have to carefully choose as per the discussion how they want to run their process of invoicing and all.
Right. And that is the reason we have it at the business unit level. For example, in Chennai, the people who are sitting, they have some different requirement, and people who are sitting in Delhi, they have a different requirement. So at the level of BU you can play. So, for example, if Chennai is saying that I am looking for a 30 days payment term for defaulting, so 30 days will come. Bangalore is saying 60 days, so 60 days will come. Okay, now this is managed payment options. Again, we have different options. Now this is very, very important. Account for payment. Now, if you want to have cash management, okay, bank reconciliation, clearing and all, then you have to enable this at payment issue and clearing. If this option is not enabled, then the clearing will not happen. Okay, so in that document you can read that. So they have elaborated in that talk. This will be elaborated that how this particular setup will be having an impact, or what is the meaning of
So
this.
basically, like both the places at the payment issue time and clearing time, both the time the entries will happen. So the third option is related to that.
Okay, managed procurement agent. So basically, procurement agent is a buyer, just to make you understand. In EBS, we have a concept of buyer. They have replaced this buyer by procurement agent. Procurement agent. Okay, so the person who is a procurement agent for a particular business unit. For example, here we have Mr. Bantu or Brown Casey. Okay, so US one business unit, Brown Casey can, since Brown Casey is a procurement agent for US one business unit, so from this user we can create a purchase orders. So if a user is not a procurement agent, you won't be able to create a purchase order. Right? Simple. So as per the requirement, you can create, click on here, addition. Okay. Choose the procurement view. Let's say US one. Okay, now this is my okay. Now, Casey Brown for US one business unit, we are creating, we are giving the authorization for procurement agent, and which all transactions can be created by this user for this particular BU, you can select over here. Requisitions, purchase order, agreement, negotiations, right? So these all authorization or accesses can be provided to this user for this particular BU.
This is like something like a purchase officer in the company, what all activities he can perform, right? So that is all given, like purchase order, he can create purchase order, he can manage purchase equations. So in purchase equation, suppose there are a demand of 10 requisitions comes for a single pen, for a stationery, something. Then he will manage those requisition, consolidate and create a purchase order for that 100 stationery requirements or whatever. So all that stuff he can do if these accesses are there with him.
I hope this is clear. Procurement agent. Procurement agent has nothing to do with the payables part. Remember this thing for the invoicing. This is only for the procurement, where we have purchase order, requisitions, and all this stuff. Okay, manage payment terms. So payment terms are for the suppliers and customers. So from our side, let's say if we are selling something to our customers, there also we will put the payment term. Okay, we need payment in next 30 days. So from our side, a sales invoice will be created and we will put our payment terms in that sales invoice. Now here in procurement in P2P, we have vendors. So we are getting the purchase invoices wherein the vendors are providing their payment terms. All right. So we can have multiple payment terms, or it could be like we can say to our suppliers, okay, we are going to pay you not before 30 days. So at least 30 days are going to be there. So in your invoice, please put 30 days as the payment term. So we can also go on, but we have to create that payment term. Then only we can insert or we can assign that payment term in the purchase invoice. So, you know what is happening actually? We are creating somewhere and then we are assigning. So here we are creating the payment terms and then we are assigning it at the time of invoice. Assign, create and assign. So that is a flow. Let's say 31 days. There is a unique requirement wherein we have to put 31 days payment term. Let's say. So we can create a new one. Okay. Now we can have discount also as per the requirement. If I say 100% in 31 days, simple, no discount, and I save it, done. If I want to give some discount, okay, let's say in 10 days, if I pay 10% discount, let's say if I pay in 10 days, this is my first discount. Same ways I can have 3 discounts. And this set assignment is, can anyone tell me what is this set assignment?
RDS?
Yes, this is reference data set, absolutely. So here we can assign this payment term to the reference data set as per the requirement. Okay. Okay, guys, let's do one thing. Like I mentioned, provide your email IDs and we will try to give you the instance access also. We'll try. Okay, so you can use the instance access, you can use the instance and you can practice.
Sure, Manish. Thank you, Manish.
So this is simple thing, payment terms. So these are the high level and very, very important setups from the procurement and payable modules we have covered. Rahul, should we go for supplier today?
Yeah, I think let's have a separate session for that next week.
Okay, great.
Because it's already 150.
Yeah, it's already more setups also we did.
So no problem.
Because
So,
supplier is also one of the key
yes.
Key processes, because there's a sub entity which you have to create. So there is a lot of changes in the fusion application registration processes for supplier and creation. So we will see that in detail as a separate